Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, President Buhari asked African leaders to resist foreign influence and speak with one voice on issues affecting the continent. Vice President Oshibajo advocates better economic integration as African parliamentarians meet in Owerri for the 48th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference. Following last attack on several villages by suspected herdsmen, youths in Plateau State demand an end to open animal grazing in the state. And Spanish government finalizes plans to remove Catalonia's leaders and take control of region as crowds protest in Barcelona against direct rule from Madrid.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's crude oil export expected to rise further in December as more local crude loading programs emerge.
And on sports news tonight, Nigerian Super Eagles face Argentina in an international friendly in Russia on November the 14th.
We begin tonight with the President's message to African leaders, asking them to speak with one voice, independent of foreign influence. He was speaking during a bilateral meeting between the President of Guinea, Alpha Condé, in Istanbul, where leaders of the 8 developing nations met on Friday. The President also met with the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shahid Khan, and both of them discussed diplomatic relationship between their countries. Our correspondent Ibrahim Adra reports from Istanbul.
Thank you, sir.
Terrorism, weak economy and population are some of the common features that unite Pakistan and Nigeria, a situation that lower the quality of lives of millions of people in both countries. The resolve of the men in this room is to change the narrative that characterized their relationship over the years. They have decided to revamp the Binational Commission and also open discussions on all fronts with the sole aim of improving relations and the fortunes of their people.
Both leaders have now agreed that they are going to ramp up, these relationships in all sectors. Yes, there has been a long-standing, relationship in terms of military training, and our president has pointed to the fact that this has helped Nigeria greatly. Officers from Nigeria trained in Pakistan have done excellently well, in the Nigerian military and security services. But even that level of military cooperation is considered to be very low.
Still in Istanbul, President Buhari met with President Alpha Condé of Guinea, urging leaders on the African continent to speak with one voice, devoid of foreign influence. President Condé seeks support of President Buhari in tackling some challenges.
They really look up to Mr. President. They look up to Nigeria, and they want them both to be much more present in solving a lot of the problems in Africa. He reiterated the fact that Mr. President has been appointed as the champion for anti-corruption for next year, and is hoping that this will also help galvanize, African countries to address the issues of governance.
The Guinean leader, who doubles as AU chairman, praised Nigeria's leadership on the continent with a further thumbs up for President Buhari on the fight against corruption and a strong voice on African issues. President Buhari in turn assured Condé of continued engagements with all AU members in seeking a way out of the political insecurity crisis in South Sudan, Libya and Togo. From Istanbul, Turkey, Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
All back home in Nigeria, the theme of Africa's unity is being re-echoed as parliamentarians across the continent begin the 48th summit of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Participants at the conference are from 55 African nations, and they will, among other things, discuss peace building, the development of African countries ahead of the Vision 2063 target. Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, is a special guest at the event.
Commonwealth parliamentarians from 55 African nations meeting in Owerri, the Imo State capital.
The session will start as soon as he arrives.
They are here to discuss the Vision Master Plan of Africa's Agenda 2063. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, is a guest of honor, and his arrival signals the commencement of the conference. The Vice President declares the conference open. He wants African leaders to collaborate and unite for Africa.
Africa we want is an Africa that works for its people, one that ensures that Africans can enjoy decent standards of living, security and freedom, and one where women and men have equal access and equal treatment with respect to all economic, political and social goods.
For the next 5 days, these African lawmakers will discuss how to ensure that African parliaments come up with legislation to tackle the scourge of gender-based and domestic violence, shared poverty, unemployment and inequality. They will also work together to find a mechanism for conflict resolution, peace building and development of African countries if the Africa Agenda 2063 is to be achieved.
There can be no doubt that our countries, particularly our public representatives and their government, have put in place legislation and other instruments to combat this scourge. However, it continues unabated.
The host governor, Rochas Okorocha, believes the conference is timely, and he's optimistic that in no distant time, Africa will sing a new song and join other continents of the world to celebrate economic greatness.
One thing I've come to realize is there's nothing wrong with Africa, but there could be something slightly wrong with Africans in our attitude and the way we do things. But I'm further worried by the fact that if we do not act quickly under the present ugly situation, which our condition points out to us, we might be destroying the psyche of generation of Africans yet again.
Participants will also discuss the development and integration of member states and work towards getting an action plan for achieving the Africa Agenda 2063.
Youth in Plateau State are demanding for the enactment of an anti-open grazing law in the state in order to curtail the incessant clashes between farmers and herdsmen in the state. The youths condemned recent attacks on communities where several lives were lost and property destroyed, urging the state government and security agencies to act decisively in bringing the killings to an end.
Recent attacks on Plateau State has left most communities desolate, with many fleeing their homes. The attacks, allegedly carried out by suspected herdsmen, recorded deaths involving mostly women and children, while injured survivors are still receiving treatment in various hospitals. The situation is worrisome. The weak are now left to their fate.
We are in the situation that we cannot help ourselves because we never go out to attack anybody. But these people are coming in the night to attack us, and I have been appealing to my people to be calm, keep peace, don't take laws into their hands.
The attackers, just like a situation where you have criminals, whatever measures you put in place, they will want to circumvent it.
Youths in Plateau State, under the aegis of the G7 Peace and Progressive Forum, are putting their voice against the renewed attacks. The group maintains that the rights of citizens are being taken for granted, challenging the state government to live up to its responsibility.
All federal and state government institutions whose cardinal mandate is to ensure the protection of lives and property, as well as ensure that citizens' rights to life are adequately guaranteed and protected, seem to have been overwhelmed by the activities of the terror group.
To ensure peaceful coexistence and avoid further clashes between farmers and herders, the youth are asking for the abolishment of open grazing.
We therefore demand that the government of Plateau State borrow a leaf from Benue, Taraba, and other states to put in place mechanism for enactment and full implementation of the anti-open grazing law in the state.
Clashes between herdsmen and local farmers are not new in Plateau State. While individuals and groups continue to proffer solutions, perhaps a deeper look into the grazing system may help. But the state government may have to take serious steps beyond words to ensure that culprits face the wrath of the law.
To the judiciary now. Well, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has ordered the forfeiture of funds and freezing of accounts domiciled in 19 banks not covered by the biometric verification number BVN. Justice Nnamdi Dingba gave the order following an application by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice. The order covers individuals, corporate bodies and government agencies without BVN. The judge also ordered the 19 banks to file an affidavit of disclosure before the court. Justice Dingba further made a freezing order stopping all outward payments, operations or transactions in respect of accounts pending the determination of the suit. He also gave an interim order appointing a bank examiner from the Central Bank of Nigeria to examine the books of any bank that fails to comply with the order. He finally directed the publication or advertisements of the accounts without BVN for any interested person to claim the ownership within 14 days and to show cause why the proceeds of the said account should not be permanently forfeited to the federal government. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government has filed fresh charges against suspected kidnap kingpin Chukwudumeme Wamadike, popularly known as Evans. One of the charges has 7 counts of conspiracy and attempted kidnap of the chairman of the Young Shall Grow Motors, Mr. Vincent Amechi Obianodo. Of the 17 counts, 2 of the charges are for the murder of the policeman attached to Mr. Obianodo. In another 4-count charge also filed against Evans, he is alleged to have conspired with some others to kidnap one Sylvanus Hafia. Well, Channels Television's judiciary correspondent Shola Shoyele exclusively gathered that both charges are pending before Justice Olorun Toyin Taiwo of the Lagos High Court, before whom Evans will be arraigned on Monday, the 23rd of October. He was arraigned on Thursday, October 19th, alongside 5 others on an amended 2-count charge of conspiracy and kidnap of one Dunu Donatus. On more stories now. 17 governors from the southern part of Nigeria will meet in Lagos on Monday to discuss devolution of powers and how to forge stronger ties with other geopolitical zones. The meeting, which would be co-hosted by the Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode and his Akwa Ibom State counterpart Emmanuel Udom, is expected to address issues that are germane to the development of the South-South, Southeast and Southwestern geopolitical zones. A communique is expected to be released after the deliberations. A statement from the Secretary to the Lagos State Government, Mr. Tunji Bello, says that the meeting is in line with the realization of the fact that different states in the South have since 2005 developed several areas of comparative advantage which could be harnessed and become mutually beneficial. The inaugural meeting of the Southern Governors was held in Lagos in 2001 under the administration of Bola Tinubu as governor. And still ahead on the news at 10, the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, gives a padding to the judicial system in the country as the continuation of court proceedings happens in the capital. Join us again.